From the Green Room Studios at Bates Nursery in Nashville, Tennessee, it's the At Home Show podcast edition. Let's get into this week's show.
Caroline here, and welcome to another week, another round of us answering all your gardening questions.
And man, did we.
Oh my gosh.
It's Austin here, and we were lively this week.
Yes, we didn't have David with us, but Adam Chapman filled the role beautifully. I'm Tyler, by the way.
Oh, hi, Tyler.
And the other voice you'll hear is Josh Carey.
Mm-hmm. He's kind of the little banter guy.
He's the wild card, I would say, of the group.
Uh-huh.
Always a great presence to have in the green room. As we discuss things like morning glory, we had a question about those, and it brought up a heated debate about what, Austin?
About if you can get rid of them or not, and no, you can't.
But what did it lead into? What did you plant?
Oh, I planted
Zinnias.
morning glory. Yeah, I did. I planted seeds from my kids. We talked about that.
We talked about that, and you don't like that plant, but I think you have a little bit more of an appreciation for it right now.
We talked about the zinnias, and they're blooming in the shade, like pretty good shade. And I'm like, well, I'm not the biggest zinnia guy, but if they're blooming in the shade, all right, there we go.
Me and Tyler have told you for years. They're great.
Exactly.
And Tyler, what did you talk about?
I talked about morning glory and how it's invading my life. And I also mentioned that I did a late night pond rehab, which I really didn't want to do. And, you know, it's been really hot, especially this week. And I think we actually roasted something on the show, and that would be Laura Petalum. Chinese French flower
And
got
that would
roasted
be
by
Adam.
Yes,
Adam
Adam.
Chapman.
Enjoy that.
He's a real guy.
He is
Been
a real
doing
guy.
this for 24 years. He knows what lives and what don't, and he tells you about Laura Petalum. We talked about some trees and this time of year, and dogwoods, red oaks. There's insects out there, fungus out there, and just plants that get a little tired as the season goes on, just like us.
It's that tired season, but what it's not getting tired of are fall vegetables and annuals and herbs, which are starting to come in here at Bates Nursery.
Talked about that.
But I hope you guys all enjoy our wrap up from our Saturday, August 26th broadcast.
It's a good one.
Got the whole cast in studio, and as you notice to my right, David Bates is missing. But Adam Chapman's sitting in over in his chair.
Yes, sir.
Okay, I guess we're ready for questions
Are we now?
Carrie.
Okay, this is a good one. We're going to start strong. How can I kill off morning glory permanently?
Oh,
I say good luck with that one. It's not going to happen. But maybe you can. They just, as soon as they start blooming and then they reseed, once it gets in the soil, I mean, I've talked about when I till up new beds on my property where I've never seen morning glory grow and I haven't planted it. When I till it up, it will awaken those seeds that have been lying dormant for probably 30 years, it seems like, and they will start growing all over my beds.
You're bringing them up to the surface, exposing them to oxygen, sunlight, all that. So, yeah, good luck getting. I mean, morning glories are. I mean, the only way you could do it without completely sterilizing the soil would be to just keep pulling it up.
That's
keep
what I
pulling
do.
them, keep
Just
pulling
every
them,
time
keep
I
pulling
see
them,
them.
keep pulling them.
yeah, exactly.
And it does lessen each year
Yes.
in those beds where they have started to take over. It's kind of
I
bad
got
news.
one
but
growing up my camellia right now.
that you planted. Didn't you plant morning glory this year?
Well, I did plant morning glory this year from seed. My kids got it for me. What was I going to do? It was my birthday.
That's
they got
true.
me a
You
whole
had
bunch
to
of
plant
seeds
it.
for my birthday. But I put them in a whole different area.
What you do is you show them the package and you say, "This was the wrong gift."
This is they would be heartbroken.
Yeah, that would be sad.
I took all the seeds, I put them all in the same bowl, and I just scattered them about. And you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and say it.
You got a
know
mess?
what? The number one out of all those seeds,
Morning
the number
glory.
one
Zinnias.
best grower.
Morning glory.
Yes, you nailed it. No, Zinnias.
Oh.
And it's
One
kind of
of
a
my
shady
favorite.
spot. Like, I didn't really plan for that. It's just kind of what happened. And I threw, obviously, sun-loving zinnias in a shady spot. Almost all of them germinated, and they're all blooming right now. Doing really well. Y'all know me. I'm not the biggest zinnia guy, but they're performing. I give them that.
I love them. They'll grow
It's been
anywhere.
a good zinnia year.
They're high-performance flowers.
They are.
They're great cut flowers. They're great for pollinators. They're
Excellent
super
germination.
Easy. Yes, excellent germination. They
Mm-hmm.
reseed, so you don't have to keep buying them year after year.
Come to
How can
the
you hate them?
Come to the
There's
dark
so
side.
many
hate
different
them.
varieties.
She's dramatic with
Oh.
the hate. I don't hate them. They
You
just
say, hold on.
Almost
whenever
every
I talk
time they're
about
brought
it,
up.
You say, Caroline, yuck.
I know.
That's pretty. That's
You're right.
That's strong.
You're right.
So you can't get rid of the morning glories.
And he excludes them from casual conversation.
But no,
That's
Josh,
so
you can't
sad.
get rid of morning glory. It's impossible.
Okay.
Literally impossible. Unless, like Adam said, you just pull and pull. Every day you pull the weeds.
You're going to be
Yep.
pulling all the time.
Uh-huh.
But there is hope. You could probably do it.
Pick every flower.
That's the key.
Yes.
As y'all know, every flower typically will produce a seed. So in the morning when
And-
you're up drinking your coffee, go on out there and pick them flowers.
Sometimes more than one seed.
Uh-huh.
It's a
Oh,
lot.
the
lot
seeds are
happening.
everywhere.
My neighbors have a morning glory on their side of the fence.
So far.
But guess where it grows?
It's going on your
side of the fence.
And guess what it's grown up into?
Your bananas.
My prickly pear cactus.
Oh, no.
It's literally the worst.
So it's hard to pull out of the cactus.
Yes, you kind of have
no.
to. You have to like follow a little lead and then kind of gently unwind it and then pull. It's like my little puzzle game that I play. Keeps me sharp.
Yeah. Let's stay on our flower kick. How can I get my guara to bloom again?
Whirring butterflies, the Gara.
The tall, the pink, and the white. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, the only way, really, Austin, right, is just to prune off the old blooms.
Yeah, and then hope you get another one.
Yeah,
which,
hope you get another flush.
yeah, and you might get another flush. It's not going to be as big and bold as the first one. I don't know if Gara is like really reblooming all that great, but like Adam said, I mean, you got to cut it, but a lot of people don't want to cut it because there's a lot of spent bloom up top, but then there's still like little wispy ones
Right.
up top, you know.
Yep.
So you kind of don't want to cut it. It's one of those weird ones. That's why you typically don't cut it. But hey, give it a try. Cut it back to the foliage, you know, like where the bloom stalk
Spike, yeah.
starts or the spike starts, you know, cut it back there, and then you might get a reflush.
You might. Not this year. On the topic of cutting stuff back to reflower, I did that with my salvia this year. I cut it back, I would say roughly like 3 to 4 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Because it did look spent and it was getting leggy and I was mad at it. And I cut it back because there's new growth coming out of the base of it. I cut it back and I should take a picture because now it's reblooming and it's gorgeous.
There's tons of perennials that you can do that with. Like yarrow comes to mind. Yarrow gets up and it gets spent and it gets yuck. Nobody likes it anymore. Cut it. Just cut it all off. Like literally cut it to the dirt. And it will send new leaves and new flowers for the season. Like you can do this like with almost all perennials. You can do this like 3 times a season.
Just in front of us. I did that with catmint this year.
Same way.
And I got a second bloom out of it. But you do have to do it fairly early sometimes while those old first round of blooms still look okay. You got to take them out. But
gotta
it'll
be
worth it.
sacrificed.
They got to be sacrificed.
They do.
Gardening is a lot of sacrifice.
It's planning. It's planning for the next. That's what you got
For what's coming up.
Uh-huh.
All right, so we have a question about perennial gardening. I would like to add goldenrod to my perennial garden. I want one with clumping, forming rhizomes, 3 to 5 feet high, that I can start from seed. Suggestions for seeds, or do you carry small starts at the nursery?
We do. We have 1 gallons.
You
What
can
about a
certainly buy
compact
seed.
one that doesn't spread?
I think all the ones we carry are that way.
I have it all over my property, and it's tall.
It's very tall.
the
It's-
native species.
Oh, yeah, it's
just
very
the,
tall.
The weed, you
The
mean.
weed, yeah.
Yeah.
And it kind of is weedy, but it is pretty. The compact varieties are pretty. They give you a good yellow. You know, yellow pops in a landscape just probably better than anything. It just draws your eye to the bed.
Well, the good combination this time of year with that is with the ironweed.
Oh, yes.
The purple and the yellow together.
It's
Nice.
such a true purple.
Yeah.
There is a small variety of goldenrod called golden fleece, I think. So that would be
Yeah.
one that stays pretty compact and doesn't get too tall.
Great for the pollinators.
Yep.
Yes, it is. It's tree time, y'all.
Tree time.
Tree time.
Oh, baby.
3 times?
Sowing is
Tree times.
Tree.
My dogwood tree is dying at the top, but has a lot of suckers at the bottom. What should I do? It's 4 years old and looked great in the spring.
Well, first thing you should do is inspect it because you might see some little holes in the trunk, maybe even a little bit higher up on the trunk if it's the top that's dying.
Yeah.
And dogwoods will sucker if they're stressing.
Yeah. Just because it may look like it's dying on the top may just be dogwood late in the summer.
That's
okay?
true.
Let's
That's
be honest.
true. They
It's
do get sad.
It's only a 4-year-old plant, and there's not a ton of leaves on a 4-year-old plant, especially on a dogwood because they're slow to move. So if it looks like off this year, we've had a fungusy summer, y'all, and dogwoods suffer from a lot of leaf spot issues. So if it looks like it's kind of bad, it could just be kind of bad, but not necessarily dead. You might remove the suckers and let the topmost part of the plant get through the rest of this year, shed its leaves, and then see what's going to happen next year. You know, my mother has got a dogwood that has been quote unquote dying for the past like 2 or 3 years. I've been watching it, and every year it just seems not as good as the previous year. This year it's got a lot of leaf spot on it, looking tired, just tired. And last year did the same thing. Year before did the same thing. But what happened? It dropped its leaves, came back and bloomed this spring. Like this spring, it bloomed almost as pretty as it ever has. But the leaves are not looking great. There's a big old wound in the trunk. I mean, it's an old dogwood, but it's still living. So it may not necessarily be dead or dying.
Now, the borers are going to give you, as David Bates says, the little holes that are about the size of a number 2 mechanical pencil lead.
Correct.
Ish, yeah.
So look for these little holes. Number 2 pencil. Okay, if it's a 3, we're probably
you
not.
don't know what it is.
Yeah, it's number 2. Okay.
But at this point, if it were to have those holes and it were to have boring insects, like they probably wouldn't be leaves on it. Like
No.
it would have been dead by now, probably.
Very good.
So, but like I said, it's probably just a tired dogwood.
It's
They're tired
okay.
this year.
Yeah, they're sleepy right now.
Mm-hmm. Same.
Are you sleepy right
Well,
now?
after these past 3 or 4 days, yes.
Yeah, working out in this heat is
8
fun.
hours a day in this is something.
What I did last night was not sleep, but instead drain, clean, and refill my pond.
Oh, buddy boy.
What? After how hot it was yesterday, you said, I'm going to go home and I'm going to get in this pond water and I'm going to clean this out.
It was nice green and slimy too, wasn't it?
At the very bottom, it was. It turned pea green because the pump, the top doesn't stay on anymore, and it literally wasn't filtering. It was literally just like, just blowing the water around. Yeah.
Do you have fish in there?
Thanks
What
for
did
the
you do
sound
with them? You
effect.
catch them?
No fish.
No fish.
Frogs.
Tadpoles.
Yeah, man.
But most of them had been reared, so we figured it's safe enough, this year.
So you're a frog murderer. Is that what you're saying?
There were no signs of tadpoles in that pond.
No.
We do have a message or a question.
Tasty.
Somebody with 5 boxwoods survived the cold snap, were beautiful in the late spring, and we've been getting a lot of questions about this. And the leaves started to turn yellow in certain spots. Don't know if it's a fungus or too much rain. Got a spray, forgot the name, helped some. 3 of the 5 look okay. Not sure if I should replace them with another drought-resistant shrub. Will they fill in where I had to trim the dead branches? A lot of rain in the spring.
That's a lot to unpack there.
It is, but we've just been getting so many questions about these boxwoods
Well,
flailing.
I think it's all still related to the freeze. I mean, they have, they got all of them got damaged to some degree, all of them, and some of them fared better, like green velvets. They seem to have been because they were bred in Michigan, so of course they're going to be more cold hardy.
Okay.
The Americans have, I think, shown the signs the latest. It's just amazing to me how late they have shown damage from that.
I know. I was going to say the same thing. Like, boxwoods are slow to grow. They're slow to take. They're slow to do anything. And then this year, they were slow to show their damage. And like Adam said, I've got green velvet at my house. And I'm still seeing signs of stress from them. Now, I think it's all very much so the freeze-related issues, but also the wet of this summer. Like, my bed stays a little wet in general. Boxwood doesn't really like to stay wet. Not at all. Like, they're very drought-resistant. And it's been a mix of both, and we're still seeing signs. Just yesterday, I had a customer come in looking to replace like 12 or 14 American boxwoods because they're like bad. They're just patchy, like they're not dead, but they look so bad they may as well be dead. So they're going to rip them all out and they're going to replace them with American boxwood. And
You've got some feelings on boxwoods. I know that.
They're not really good at reincarnating from when they're dead either.
It's because they're so slow.
Dead boxwood.
They only flush in the spring, and then they'll show, they'll flush like a little bit in the fall sometimes. Sometimes they don't even do that. They'll just flush once, and that's all you get for the season.
Hey, while we're on the boxwood topic, we did have a question come in on Instagram. They are tired of the winter burn on their boxwoods. I guess, like you were saying, they're not coming in fast enough. They're not growing fast enough. And they're asking if they should replace it with inkberry holly.
Oh.
How do we feel about that? I just saw this guy's face. Y'all didn't because the camera's on me, but
I'm gonna
face gave it away.
I'm gonna give you the lowdown. The lowdown. That kind of makes sense for me. The lowdown on inkberry holly. Okay, why do we like boxwood so much? Because they stay full from top to the dirt, all the way down. Does inkberry do that?
No.
Not at all. It limbs itself up, y'all. It ends up being a fairly large shrub. I mean, it can get 4 to 5, depending on the variety, 5 feet tall. But you've got your leaves up top, and then you've got stems down low with no leaves on them. Now, the plant's alive, and it's a very hardy plant for around here. I mean, it's kind of like a native evergreen that can live in like a wet spot around here, good for rain gardens. I mean, it's a good plant.
Yeah,
it lives.
essentially, if you use it, make plans to plant something low in front of it.
Exactly.
So you can kind of
hide those ugly sticks that have no leaves on them.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
The At Home Show is brought to you by EarthMix Garden Products, creating high-quality, sustainable soil blends and amendments in the Southeast. It's hot and your plants need some mulch. Why not use Fines by EarthMix? Their finely shredded pine bark mulch offers unmatched moisture control and fantastic texture in your garden. Not only a great mulch, but an excellent soil conditioner to assist with drainage in beds and containers. Visit earthmix.net for more information and a list of retailers near you. Remember, success begins at the ground level when you choose EarthMix Garden Products.
So we were on the topic of winter burn on stuff. I mean, we're still getting questions from our December freeze. So we did get a second question about laurels. They're ready to replace their laurels that did not make it this winter. Mine came back from the base, but they're about yay tall. So they're still a little bit sad. Options for replacements for full sun.
Full sun, laurel,
What would you do?
abelia,
Adam loves abelia.
abelia later.
I'd use
Adam,
this
so
dappled
good.
stuff right here. I think it would be gorgeous. In
Well,
this one.
so right behind me here, I don't know if you can see, is
Adam, talk about that one.
Laura Pedlum, which is not going to live here. So don't plant that. Look,
Mine came
hey,
back.
look, if you want to put
Did
that,
you have the jazz hands? Did you have that one?
that's
Huh?
Did you have that variety?
No, but that's pretty. Gosh, that's
it's
so
pretty, not hardy here is what
No.
it is.
No, I thought
I
it
want to
was all
try
gone.
one so badly.
Listen, if somebody wants to plant that in a pot and put some stuff around, whatever, that's fine. But if you're going to put it in the ground, just know
It's gonna die.
you will be replacing it.
Okay.
There is no question. It's a matter of time.
It's kind of funny with Laura Petalum. Adam is right. Like the prettiest Laura Petalums you can find at the nursery are the ones that die the quickest.
Oh,
the
wow.
big, gangly, kind of ugly ones, the ones that are like kind
They
of
live.
off purple, greenish. Yeah,
Yes.
they live and they get like 10 feet tall. and
Yes.
bigger if you let them, but they're not all that attractive.
No, I mean, not really. When they're blooming, they're okay.
They're
But they
okay.
don't bloom for very long, really.
Yeah.
Imagine bringing in a plant just to dog it.
Now contrast
We brought it in
that.
because it's beautiful.
Contrast that with abelia, which
Abelia.
does live here
Super hardy.
and blooms for months.
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 Just
Months.
Months?
blooming his head
Yes.
off right now.
Months?
From summer till frost, pretty much.
Pretty much.
I don't have any abelia, maybe.
I'm replacing my massive, huge ball-shaped hollies with abelia.
Abelia.
Way to go.
Have you removed the hollies yet?
No, I'm
There's
just
a reason.
Let us
staring
know
at
how
'em.
that goes.
Good luck with that.
So let's move back to tree talk, Austin's favorite topic.
Tree talk.
Something is eating my northern oak sapling to death. Only veins left in the leaves.
All right.
Help.
You got a caterpillar.
Yep.
You got a caterpillar in there. Probably 100 of them.
Yep.
And they may have already done their damage, metamorphosized, and turned into moths or butterflies. That's how it works. And you know, oak trees harbor some of the best insect activity in our area.
Yes. Yes.
Red oaks and all the oaks really. They're very, very good for our insect population.
Yeah,
now
they're-
I know it makes your plant look unsightly, but is it going to kill that oak tree?
No, and the
Rarely
thing
ever.
is, when it gets massive, are you even going to notice?
You won't.
No.
No, you
see
won't.
it.
You might notice one chunk of like a tent caterpillars or something.
Yeah.
You know, you see webbing on one. If you really want to, you can just literally remove that branch and let them finish or whatever, or do what you want to do. But I don't know how big your red oak is. So if it's small and it doesn't have a ton of leaves, then it is unsightly. And obviously, it makes you look like your tree's dead almost because your leaves are just down to veins because the caterpillar just went to work. But for the most part, those dormant buds for next season are already forming on the stem, and they'll crack next spring, and you'll have a whole new tree. And you may never see another insect problem for the spring or the summer, or you may see another one. But like I said, it's almost good to not really focus so much on that and just let nature do its thing, because that tree can live with that. That's my spiel.
Yeah, well, it's evolved along with the local
Insects.
It's a
fauna.
symbiotic
Yeah.
relationship.
The local fauna.
Additional support for the At Home Show is brought to you by Bates Nursery, a third-generation garden center located in Nashville, Tennessee, offering the widest selection of plants and gardening supplies from large trees to houseplants, from seeds to soil. Their knowledgeable staff will assist you with all your gardening needs. Open year-round, minutes from the heart of Nashville and beautiful Whites Creek, Tennessee. Browse their selection online anytime at batesnursery.com. Bates Nursery and Garden Center, beautifying Nashville since 1932. My God, when should you divide, replant, and trim bearded iris in Middle Tennessee? Do you consider frost month daytime, nighttime, and temperatures?
Well, first off, exactly at 3:30.
Yes,
in the
that's
afternoon
correct.
is when to do it.
If you don't do it at 3:30, you were making a big mistake.
AM or PM?
So
AM.
probably
okay.
the best time to do it is going to be during dormancy. The only problem with dormancy is it's fairly hard to see where they're at. Okay, so like dividing them whenever you can have leaves to pull on is not that bad of an idea because you know exactly where those irises are. And irises do need to be separated, and because the longer that they stay tight among themselves and they, get
crowded.
distracting me. They get crowded and they can't bloom. So then you got to separate. But like I said, during dormancy is probably the best time to do it. But it's hard to find where the actual crown of the plant is.
Well, you could probably do it as you're cutting back the foliage that's gone dormant. You can,
yeah,
pick 'em
you can
up.
still see kind of where
Yeah.
they're at, and you have something to kind of tug on.
So you're saying what, late fall?
Late
something like
fall,
that?
yeah. Late fall when the foliage is still up but not looking good. It's probably about the best time to do it. But it is recommended to do it. So do it. It's kind of hard work.
And it's about $9, but you can get it anywhere. It's upside down spray paint. So if you're too lazy to do it when it's 100 degrees, just make a circle around it and
Mark it.
marker paint.
I was going to
Mark
say,
it.
you could do those little yard flags.
I use a lot of those.
Yeah.
And people think they're flowers. I actually had somebody come to my house and they were like, what are all
You
these
can
pink
get any
flowers
color
in
you
your
want
yard?
nowadays,
And I
yeah.
said they're little marker
Yeah.
flags so my lawn guy doesn't mow down my plants.
You could
Well.
might even be able to use those little fancy drink umbrellas.
Oh.
Tyler. Yes, absolutely.
Gina Mansfield on YouTube says that her Laura Pedlin, 8 of 9 of them are coming back from the base, and as are her laurels, all 19 of them.
Congratulations.
Good job.
You waited. You were patient. You're a plant person. You have to wait for these things.
And since Austin's talking about
What's in bloom?
let's get there with Austin.
Let's get there. Okay, trees that are blooming, it's still the same.
Crepe
myrtle.
Crepe myrtle.
Crepe myrtle still blooming, y'all. Longest blooming tree.
Vitex.
Oh, yeah, Vitex. I forgot about Vitex this week. That's a great one. That's in bloom. All the hibiscus, perennial, and Rose of Sharon, or Rays of Sharon, if you watched last week. Magnolia.
Is that a movie that just came out?
Yeah,
Rays of Sharon.
Uh-huh.
It's
Yeah.
actually in pre-production.
And
I signed a contract.
you know what I saw this morning? Magnolia. Southern Magnolia still throwing some bloom.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, my
Yeah.
God. How long's
Yeah.
it been? Forever. I talk about it all the
You
time.
know what's just now coming into bloom that
What's
we
that?
got in this week is some sweet autumn clematis.
Yes, I talked about that last week, actually. Yes,
Yes.
the sweet autumn clematis. Speaking of clematis, mine, which is the goat of all clematis, which is Jackmanii, is reblooming at the moment. So if you like that purple and you just like a really hardy plant, which that one is, buy it because it's good. It's reblooming right now. Hydrangea's still going. Y'all know about the hydrangeas. They're almost done now. Different one, beautyberry. We brought it in the studio today. Beautyberry's blooming. Great little purple berries persist after they bloom, so that's cool. Canna lily's still going. Ironweed, the big purple ones. Hey, your hostas are blooming. It's shady, but the hostas are blooming. They're doing it. Windflower, anemone.
Anemone.
Yes, anemone. Hard to say, but beautiful to look at. Windflower is a common name. They blow atop the breeze. Just dainty little blooms, looking great. Heuchera, another shade-loving foliage plant that does throw a bloom. They're blooming right now. Hey, we just got some mums in. Mum's the word. It's fall. Bring them in. They're blooming. Great.
Yeah,
And
but hey, don't blink though, because if you blink, you'll miss
they'll
the
be
blooms.
gone. You're right. And upright phlox, Caroline talked about it earlier. Hers are reblooming, which is great. And then the last one I'm going to talk about, it's a different one. It's a weird one. It was the perennial plant of the year in like 2020, I think. Don't quote me on that. Could be 2019. Sun King Aurelia. Oh my God. It's in bloom right now. But Got to give you a little fun fact about Sun King Aurelia. It's a shade-loving perennial, comes back from the ground every year. Literally, the blooms are 6 feet tall. They look at me in the eye right now. I can't even believe it. Massive, massive shrubs. Great for the
go
shade.
home and stare
Look
at those
at me in the
blooms.
eye, staring
you
at
know
them.
what happens with Aurelia blooms?
What?
Flies.
Oh my
Oh
God.
boy.
Flies. The year of the flies. Flies love Aurelia. And it's not even just the blooms. It's the leaves, too. Why is this? I don't know. Y'all help me out
You know
here.
what else flies like?
What?
Jeff Goldblum.
Oh, yes, they do.
Yes, so do
Risha
I.
says don't forget butterfly bush.
I won't forget the butterfly bush
Okay.
again.
Okay.
Butterfly bush doesn't do it for me.
Okay.
All right. That's what's blooming. It's always showing something. So there you go. All
right.
But, yeah, there's flies on my Aurelia.
Tyler's got something to
Got
say.
him.
Uh-oh.
What up, T.Y.?
Got a bonus messaged Instagram message question. Best products to use to enrich a raised bed garden because I feel that it's spent for the season. Adam?
Natural.
Supernatural.
That's
I will
right.
I will tell you this. I have raised beds, and when I first put up a raised bed, when it's a new bed, I just use Earth Mix Garden, and it produces the best vegetables,
Yep.
whatever. Now, obviously, for that year, that's great, but the next year, you've got to reinvigorate it like you're talking about. So I use the Supernatural compost.
This spring.
I put a good inch across the whole thing and then till it in so that it reinvigorates the soil, and I have just as good a garden this year as I did last year.
I
So
use that same process. Works every time.
works every time.
We've got 2 more questions I want to get
Quickly.
in. When is the best time of year to plant a Japanese maple that has been potted for 2 years?
Fall to winter. Doesn't
Yeah.
really matter. I mean, when it's dormant, let it lose its leaves.
Late fall. But
Japanese maples are fancy, cool trees, and they're well respected and very expensive, but they're no different than any other woody tree.
And they're also a little tougher than you might think.
And you
too,
might think,
so,
yeah, they are.
Yeah.
Last question. How close do blueberries need to be to pollinate? Mine never produced this year.
Adam,
I know Adam
blueberry
loves
king.
blueberries.
Okay,
Uh-oh.
so this year is a anomaly because of the freeze. I only had 2. I've got 7 or 8 blueberries. Only 2 of them produced berries. The rest of them didn't do anything. And I think it was because we actually did have a later freeze/frost, heavy frost freeze. That I think usually blueberry blooms are fine with cold; they can weather it pretty well. But I think this was so much later that it actually did get them.
I didn't really get any either.
Yeah, but I
Bart's
think
got a bunch at my house.
now as far as how close together they got to be, they could be 50 yards apart because the insects are really the bees and everything are going to be moving very
Pollen.
quickly. Yeah, so they're going to be exchanging pollen. So as long as they're within the same yard, you can put them in the backyard, front yard, whatever. So.
Yep.
Okay. Very, very good.
Brings it in.
That sure does. Music means that we're about out of time, too. You're going to be in next week again as well.
Yes, sir.
David Bates will be moving from the Groom Lake facility down to McMurdo Station to supervise inventory down there and see what's going
Antarctica?
Yes.
He didn't tell me about that.
on. Well, hey, it's secret, man.
Dang it, we weren't supposed to say anything.
Right, but
The beans have been spilled.
the rest of the crew will be in here next Saturday morning.
Hey, thank you for watching, and thank you for your
Absolutely.
questions.
Yes.
Yes.
Makes for a really good time here on the show.
Share,
Thank you.
chime, subscribe. Get the word out. So
Tell your neighbors.
Yes, shake the dog. We'll see you next Saturday morning right here from the Green Room Studios at Bates Nursery and Garden Center.